Hi there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to the next episode of Future Roundnet Podcast. My name is Jakub Popluhar, and today I'm joined by someone very special, Lou Washburn. Lou Washburn is a US-Danish citizen who has recently moved to Europe to Denmark, and she has taken Roundnet world by storm. She is a former NCAA athlete in pole vault, and she is the only woman who has qualified for the Open Pro or the Men's Pro division in Europe, which is kind of a big deal. Obviously, as an exhilarating player she got third place with her partner Nora Haas at the European Championship, and she finished second twice during the ETS season. What challenges did she have to face when she moved from sunny Florida to Denmark? How is she able to afford to travel almost every single tournament every single weekend, which is crazy if you ask me? What competition did she win rather unexpectedly? And what are her tips and tricks for better performance, her mindset, and much more you can find in this interview. I hope you're gonna have at least as much as fun as I had. Lou and I, we had a blast, and enjoy listening and watching. Atake! Future Roundnet. Hi Lou, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course, I've been looking forward to this for a long time since there are so many questions that I want to ask you and so many things I want to learn from you. But maybe before we start jumping off right in there, we can start where what are you actually doing in Europe? Because I know the first time we met, it was in 2019 in Savannah at the Roundnet tournament. Surprise, surprise, Coed Nationals. And you mentioned something with Europe, if I remember correctly. And now you're here, so maybe could you walk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, so a little bit about me. I grew up in the States, in a small town outside Chicago. But my mom is from Denmark, so that makes me half Danish, half American. So I'm a dual citizen, which is super nice. And so basically, just last year after Worlds, I decided that I'm gonna move to Europe. It's always been a dream of mine. I come over to Denmark all the time to visit family, and I just thought it'd be a good time now to just move to Europe. And here I am. Yeah.
That is really cool. So are you studying now in Denmark or just working?
I am studying. So I decided to go back to school, and I'm getting my master's degree now in marketing.
Okay. I know that there is slight difference when it comes to pricing of studying universities or at college in the US or Denmark. Could you maybe elaborate how much you paid or if you had to pay in the US compared to Denmark, especially for our US friends? I think they will not like to hear this that much, but I don't really care.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the same for other European countries, but in Denmark at least, if you're a citizen, then they'll pay you like a monthly allowance. So it pretty much pays for your rent just for studying. So you get like a monthly allowance, which is super nice. And education is very free. So it's kind of encourage you to stay in school, as opposed to in the US, you usually have to pay your own way or rely on scholarships. You can have academic scholarships, or you can have sports scholarships as well.
And now looking at my research, I see that you received sports scholarship for pole vaulting or track and field. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it's funny enough though, because in high school, you can get recruited from scouts into like when you go into college, they try to recruit you to come to their university. And I was recruited for not track. I was recruited for golf and bowling. Um, and I decided to walk on, which means basically just try out and join the team for free for track and field. I was a sprinter, a hurdler, and mainly a pole vaulter. And so after my first year, they gave me a scholarship, which was nice.
So pole vault, for people that don't know, or it was also me till recently, There's the one where you have this big stick and you just jump in the air and try to clear the bar, as you say, right?
Yeah, exactly. Running as fast as you can with a stick and go over.
And bowling, is it really what I mean? Like bowling, like having this big ball,
What
really?
you think it is? Yeah.
And you can get a scholarship for that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That is so American. That's ridiculous. But I mean, good for them. It's actually very difficult. It's much more difficult than it looks, or they make it look in the movies.
Yeah. I mean, I
Okay.
guess if there's nothing to do in the wintertime except, I guess, bowl or play basketball, and I'm too short for basketball, so
But your university was in Florida, right? So I mean, you did not have really the outdoor problem or the weather that we have right now in Europe, or it's in Denmark or in Germany. It is
yeah,
probably not so nice. Aren't you
no,
missing Florida weather?
definitely miss Florida weather. Yeah. And it
But
gets dark very early here. I think the sun sets right now at like almost a little before 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
mhm. And what one has to do for getting a scholarship at the university? Because for some context, I have some friends that when we were in high school, they played basketball. They tried to get to college, but it was obviously very, very difficult. But on the other hand, like track and field or soccer or football, as we call it here, was rather easier for my fellow Slovakians to get into. They were making mixtapes, I remember. But US has completely different infrastructure when it comes to scouting, right? And athletes, like university athletes, compared to Europe.
Uh, I'm not really sure. Um, in terms of like recruiting, I know they usually will just come to like with maybe with soccer or with football and the bigger team sports, it might be a little bit easier for scouts because there's more kids on the team, there's more people to be watching different positions. Um, I know in like golf and bowling and I guess even track, it's all individual. So maybe when you're going to big tournaments, like I know I was approached at state at the championships for golf and bowling was where I was approached. Um, but I don't even remember what your question was. Was it a question?
All good. What I meant is that we don't have recruitments for universities in terms of sport because, as you probably learned in Europe, you have a sports club and then you have university. You can play
Okay.
for university, but it's not like a big competition. I mean, there are some, for example, in Czech Republic, in Brno, where I used to study, would have the technical university play against the other university, the more like University of Sciences, if you will, and they will sell out ice hockey arena of 8,000 people, and they would support their players. So this is like the most American we would do or would
Okay.
get. No
Yeah.
people painting the colors, which we see is a big part of the American culture, and like
Yeah.
tailgating and going to college games and everything. I have a former teammate, you could say, who played basketball in Spain in front of 50 people. Like he went pro, 100 people. Then he got recruited to Syracuse University, and suddenly, out of 100 people, there's 20,000, and they are all in your age, and they are all your classmates, so to say, and you're there performing, which is for me is a dream. It sounds very surreal, but it's just different world when it
Yeah.
comes to sports and college sports in the US.
Yeah. I see what you mean. I think with at least how my coach kind of explained it was if you're getting school paid for by your university for doing the sport, you kind of like it feels almost like a business or a profession.
Hmm.
So where I mean you're training every single day. It feels like you feel like a professional athlete, especially at like if you're playing a Division 1 level. It's a lot of high competition. It's a lot of fun though, but it does feel very intense compared to maybe a club sport here in Europe. Um, yeah, we like to
Well,
take our sports very seriously.
I mean, it is a business when you have so many people attending and watching the games on national TV.
Yeah,
Players are getting hyped
Yeah,
obviously.
and now with the NCAA rules, I think athletes can get sponsored by outside vendors, not just related to their university.
Which is for us completely crazy unless you're a football pro.
Yeah, unless you're super good at football and American football, and you're going to get into the NFL next year, then you make a lot of money. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
that is a probably completely different topic that people think, okay, you become a professional athlete, you make so much money, but only you, not everyone can be LeBron James or Kevin Durant and stick in the league for so long or in
Yeah.
the NHL. Sometimes it's 2, 3 seasons, you can make your money, then you need to invest. That's smart because a lot of people, a lot of professional athletes end up broke after career,
Hmm.
right? They run out of money. But that is probably, as I said, different topic. Now, if we segue from professional sports, we can get to our sport that we try to do professionally, Roundnet. And my first question would be, when did you get bitten by the bug of Roundnet? This little ball came and like bit you
Yeah.
somewhere.
Actually, my first tournament was when we met in Savannah. I had a friend just say, "Hey, you play sports? I need a girl to come play this sport. I'm gonna pick you up on the way." And he picked me up on the way and said he explained the rules to me in the car on the way to Savannah for what was it, Coed Nationals 2019. Our first game was against Olivia Janke and Preston Bias, and we got 4 points. And I absolutely hated the sport. I hated the game. I thought everybody was that good, and I just hated it. And I didn't touch a spike ball until COVID. And I thought I'd try it again afterwards, but I seriously thought everyone was incredibly good at spike ball, and I just thought I was that bad at the sport, and it wasn't fun. It was confusing. Um, yeah. So then 2020 came. COVID happened. I couldn't compete anymore for track and field. Our season had ended due to COVID. So then it just started playing with some friends. And I think because we were all at the same level, it became a little bit more fun. And from there on, I played another tournament, and then I started to like it more.
I remember the Savannah Nationals because I wanted to compete, but it was very difficult to find a partner, especially not coming from the US. I actually think I was featured or mentioned in a local article that they had competitors from Germany coming in.
Okay.
That was very funny because I was on a after university kind of trip for 7 weeks and spent 4 weeks in US and Canada, and was not around it journey per se that came later on, like for becoming the best round player I can be. But I remember seeing Olivia Jenke for the first time, and this woman was doing tweeners and setting, hitting, and I had no idea what was going on. I mean, at this stage, I just played for 4 or 5 months competitively, or started practice. I didn't practice till then. I was like, wow. And I saw Preston, PJ, Peter John Showalter, Tyler Chiswick was there, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, I have no idea where the ball is flying. And I remember my first pickup game there maybe could have been even against your partner. I was there, and this guy served, and the ball flew by me for like 1.5 meters. For
Yeah.
Americans, like 3 feet. I was like, what's going on? And then it happened again. But I've never seen a cut serve before in my life. So I was like, oh, that's the cut serve some people were talking about. That was with old rules, so it could go even above your head sideways. And I remember playing a pickup game with Preston, PJ, and someone else, and they were just joking around, which was crazy because I thought, okay, try harder, but they didn't have to try hard. I was like the biggest try hard there, but they were just having fun. I was like, okay, I want to get to this level at some point. But I remember you being very, very good for playing 2 weeks. I mean, you're a left-handed player,
Yeah,
which
it's a little bit of a cheat code, I feel like.
some people still doubt it nowadays, and especially Tops are on it. We'll get back to that later. I mean, there's also a funny video explaining that. But how did it make you feel once you get really shattered by back then arguably the best player in the world, Preston Bias. And Olivia was on the rise. That was before she and her sister won the first nationals. You were like, what's going on here? What was your process? Because that happens a lot, especially when you play in a higher division. You go to the ETS tournament or some other tournament, and you think, oh, I'm so good. I mean, you didn't think that because you didn't know the rules of the game, but still, how was it? Walk us through the experience.
I mean, it was pretty bad. It was kind of like oh man, like I thought could be like I thought I was slightly athletic, could make plays or do something. But I guess just playing against them made me realize that, wow, there's like so much to this sport. And it really deterred me, honestly. So I completely quit and didn't even try touching a ball again for another whole year. And I mean, at the time I was also invested in track, so I was focused on that. But I guess during COVID, I found it as an opportunity to try it again. And then I think once I did start trying that, I realized how difficult but fun that Spikeball is. You can play casually, which is fun and easy with friends, or there's also people that play really competitively. And me being a competitive player, I found that to be super fun. Making dives and it's very confusing because it's 360-degree defense. So there's no out of bounds lines, and that makes it really fun. And I think a little bit more challenging, and everyone has a different play style, which is really interesting to me as well. And everyone can come from a different sports background. Like you hear, because Spikeball is such a new sport, Roundnet. Roundnet is such a new sport that everyone comes from a different background. Instead of saying like, oh, so how long have you been playing Spikeball? It's more like, oh, so what sports do you come from? What sports did you play before Roundnet? And it's always fun to hear. Most people are saying basketball, volleyball, football, maybe tennis. And then you can kind of see in their play style, their form from their previous sport. Maybe they have really good footwork. Maybe they have really good hand-eye coordination. So a lot of baseballers are really good at serving. A lot of football players are good at defense or footwork, or you can see the game a little bit better. It's always interesting for me to see that, especially because I come from golf and bowling. So it's like, oh, what do I bring to the table?
I just love the way your speech slows down after once you say Spikeball, and then you realize that you slow down, and then you completely focus on saying Roundnet. We're definitely gonna clip this because this is how you should react. And I don't know now if it's your lightning, but you turned also red.
It's in red. Oh, maybe I just got embarrassed.
After we have made some lightning adjustments, because we've been caught off guard. And Lou, what happened?
The bunny came out and the sun came out. The sun decided to shine in Denmark for once.
There is a stark comparison, I suppose, to Florida.
Yes, it's because we started talking about Florida.
How do you manage the change between the environment? Because obviously, coming from Florida, I know that you studied in Jacksonville, now to cloudy, cold Denmark. Sometimes a big shock for the system. When I spend a long time abroad, I know in Thailand or wherever, and I return, I'm always not gonna say depressed, but the life just seems much easier when the sun is shining. So how was this change for you?
Yeah, it was a bit of I think it was one of the biggest shocks for me. I mean, I was warned and told that Denmark is not like Florida in terms of weather. It's quite cold here. The sun sets just before 4 p.m. Every day, and it's cold. But I mean, you've got a lot of good people here, and we like to, we call it hygge, which is where you just hang out, have a good time, you drink, you do happy stuff together, play games. But I think it just makes you appreciate when the sun does come out, you really utilize it or make use of it when it's out there, so you don't take the sun for granted.
Especially, oh my God, it's 5 degrees. Let's go outside. The hands won't freeze when playing Roundnet.
Yeah,
Whereas during summer, what? It's so cold. It's 15 degrees. Oh no.
I think 15 degrees is cold, but I need to change that mentality.
Now you've moved from the US to Denmark. Did you know any people in Denmark? Because what I want to get at right now is a lot of people nowadays, especially in Europe, they move around, they move for jobs, and they have a culture shocks or they have to make new friends. So, how did you start in Denmark?
I did a study abroad in 2019 in the summer, so I did have some friends over here already. And then when I came over here for the World Championships, I got to meet some of the players and make some friends. So I kind of joined that community pretty quickly, and they took me in immediately, which was super nice. So I guess it was super easy to find friends for me at least. Like you get friends of friends that you become friends with, if that makes any sense at all. Um, and like for example, one of the girls that I met through Spikeball, Roundnet, sorry, she does a lot of bouldering and acro yoga, and so just through Roundnet, I was able to meet her and start going bouldering and start trying acro yoga. And then now one of my old study abroad friends, he's invited me to start playing indoor volleyball. So now I'm making friends in that area. So it's super nice to get involved with different communities.
Do you think this is one of the main, I'm not gonna say selling points for people for Roundnet, that you can very easily make new friends and get to know new people, even though you may not be, as you are in this case, a former professional athlete?
Definitely. I think Roundnet is a very niche community and very unique. It reminds me a lot of the Ninja Warrior community, where everyone is just super encouraging. They want you to get better, and it doesn't matter what skill level you are. We're always having a good time, whether that's on the pitch or off. So I think it's a really fun community where everyone wants to make friends, and yeah.
Okay, let's back up a little bit because you said Ninja Warrior.
uh,
What do you mean by that? Because in my head, that is, I think, a competition I saw on TV a couple of years ago. People doing crazy obstacle runs.
yeah,
But
that's what it is. I wasn't on the show. I did a lot of different competitions not pertaining to the show, where it's the same thing as Roundnet, I guess, where they just have different gyms hosting tournaments. Because in Chicago, I used to work at a Ninja Warrior gym. I was a coach and doing summer camps, um, and so I would compete a lot in that. And I even made some Ninja Warrior obstacles in my apartment during college. So I had to. I lived in a bunk bed, and I made it to where I didn't have a ladder, and I had to swing into bed because I had some baseballs hanging from the ceiling. So you had to swing into my bed to go to sleep every night.
do you have a video?
Uh, I don't have a video of me swinging into bed, but I do have a video of a zip line I made in my living room.
Okay, kids, ladies and gentlemen, you want to keep your kids fit, make sure you make them a swing with a baseball bat so they literally have to swing to the bed and also out of the bed, right? So you have to be alert right from the start.
Yes, you start off your day with a pull up.
This is genius. But what if I don't want to get out of the bed and now the hurdle of getting up is even higher or even bigger? What do you do then?
You have to. There's no way you can't get out of bed without it.
At some point, you really want to use the bathroom and then you have to swing.
You have to swing. Yeah, you hold it in the night. Like I broke my foot one time and I had to somehow still manage to get into bed.
I mean, I'm just imagining this and it's a very funny image. We probably need to recreate it at some point. How do you get to Ninja Warrior competitions? I mean, was it something you woke up one day like, okay, today I'm going to become an American Ninja Warrior, or how did that happen?
Um, there's a lot of gyms in Chicago area, and I guess one of my friends from school, he was involved with it, and he dragged me out. This always happens with a friend dragging me out to some weird sport. So I guess he dragged me out to one of the gyms just to train, and that's kind of where I got hooked on it because it's literally a playground for adults.
Hmm.
So you can, the idea incites the imagination. You can look at something and be like, okay, I want to swing from here and I want to go to here. And then I kind of want to try and do this and this and this and this. And it's like playing the floor is lava. So you're just like swinging around like a monkey. And that's Ninja Warrior, I guess. And then you try to challenge friends to do it. Um, and everyone's super encouraging because when you're competing, it's not like you all go at the same time. It's okay, this person goes now, and then next person, you're kind of like get given a number, and then you go through the obstacle course, and then whoever makes it the furthest or makes it through the course with the fastest time wins, is the idea. And they actually got really big into it. So I think they had tournaments, or I guess you call it competitions. They had competitions where you can win up to like $4,000 in some tournaments that I know of. And then of course the actual show you can make a lot of money.
How did you finish? What was your best result in American Ninja Warrior?
Actually my first ever competition I won, which was pretty cool. Uh we
Oh,
I went with some friends during Christmas, I think of 2017, I want to say. We went up to Wisconsin and competed in a competition, and I won the female division.
without any prior training per se.
Yeah.
Okay, well, very talented woman indeed. When it comes to sports, I mean, we also see you doing some acrobatics on Roundnet tournament, and your style. When we return now a little bit to Roundnet, you have very like very unorthodox style. You find yourself a lot on the ground. Well, why is that?
Yeah. Maybe it's you could say I don't move my feet, I guess. Call it what you want. I like to hustle, I guess. It's really fun to dive around and have a good time. Um, yeah, I think it's fun to be diving around and I'm also very, very clumsy. In case you don't know that about me, I can trip over flat surfaces and get hit by falling objects. I don't know. Uh, so I guess with Roundnet, it's just fun for me to be able to run around and expend all my energy because it's fun to jump and do crazy things.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Europe definitely noticed that because since you moved to Europe, let's say early this year in January, you've really taken Roundnet Europe by a storm. Do you have any idea how many tournaments have you played in this year?
Oh, a lot. Definitely more than I anticipated. Um, but it's just I love that there's always something going on every weekend in Europe, and it's so easy to get around. I would say I had probably at least 2 or 3 tournaments a month. So I was playing almost every weekend at a tournament somewhere.
Maybe we could challenge you and also our listeners and viewers to create their tournament lists. I mean, I have one. I know exactly how many tournaments I've played so far in my life. I'll always put there. Maybe we can create a spreadsheet or a template. We'll see. I need to
Okay.
talk to the team. The date, or is it at least the month, the date, the name of the tournament, the city of the tournament. I mean, if it says ETS Paris, it is probably in Paris, even though it was in Orly, quite far away from Paris. For example, the division you play, your partner, your result. So let's say you finish second, but out of 16 or out of 4, that may play a difference, right? And then I usually like to write there some side note like this was a lot of fun, or never to play with this person again, or something like that to remember the tournament by. So it's not only for me to be nostalgic and sentimental after I finish playing or whatever. It's just, okay, oh, this was fun. I have some pictures. Okay, you can see then your results as well if you are more performance oriented. Okay, I mean, I was on a great roll. I won 3 tournaments in a row, which is great. What can I change? Or I finished in round of 16 4 times in a row. Something's probably not right. What can I improve? And I just find it's a very cool thing of keeping track, because then you actually see how much time and effort you spent in, and you can also build up your confidence, saying, okay, I've already played 25 tournaments. Like, I should be good at this game, right? Hopefully you are, or you're improving, but it's that's a different topic.
Yeah, I'm getting closer. I actually have yet to win one, but we are getting closer.
True. I mean, the last recent tournament that you played with was now in December, European Indoor Masters in Prague, already a very established tournament, and you finished second with playing with Caroline Marker from Munich. So our Caro, how was the tournament experience for you? I mean, yes, second, you lost to Tiramisu, which is a team you can probably lose to, definitely the European champions, Danny and Megan. But how is it? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the tournament Saturday, the women's division, but also your approach when you're playing with a new person. Because a lot of people in Roundnet, they mesh up, they play with different partners, and it's a lot about mindset. And I would be very curious, how did you and Caro approach this together as a team, and also you individually, knowing that okay, you and Caro have different playing styles, and so on and so forth. So that would be very interesting to see or hear.
Yeah, I think our mindset coming into the game was, this is going to be a fun weekend. Let's have a good time, see what we can do. We're both pretty, we like to run around, I'd say. She's quite fast, way faster than I she surprised me. Yeah, Caro was really good. I think in my mind, my goal was semis with her. And we exceeded that, which was nice. But of course, I think the main goal was to have fun and no pressure, just to have a good time and see what we could do. And I think we did just that. We had a really fun time.
Did you talk about the expectations before the tournament?
I don't think we really talked about anything before the tournament. It was more like, hey, do you want to wear future Roundnet jerseys? Okay, yeah, let's do that. And I think that was that. We were actually supposed to play Berlin together last year at or I guess, is it this year? The 2023 Berlin Invitational, which would have been my first European tournament. But she was sick, so I ended up playing with Licky. So it was really kind of fun seeing that we went from, she was supposed to be my first 2023 tournament to now she was my last. But we finally got a tournament in together, and it was super fun. And I would love to play another one with her. She's super talented, and yeah, I really like her energy is nice.
Is it more often now? I mean, full disclosure, we know each other. We know each other quite well. We've been friends for almost 4 years now. Is it your typical, let's say, I only have the German words in my head, typical protocol, to quote Andrew Huberman, or use his favorite word, protocol, when you're playing with someone new, you don't really talk to each other beforehand and you just go and do?
Yeah, I don't think I've actually ever talked with somebody about, well, that's not fair. Maybe I'll ask them and say, hey, how do you play defense? Because I'm really bad at defense, so I usually like to learn from people. But I don't think we ever have like a big game plan. If I'm playing with someone new, it's more like, hey, how do you like your sets? How do you usually play defense? And okay, let's just go have fun and be athletic.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so far, especially on the women's side, it's been working out quite well. I mean, you finished third at Euros, first big tournament, ETS Paris. Maybe in the future, who knows? ETS Paris, you got second with Nora, and then second with Laura, which was probably rather disappointing, right? ETS Vienna, you lost to Tiramisu. First time Laura lost the final this year. It was with you. How was it for you, or for you too? Because obviously playing with arguably the best female player in the world, and guys, let me know if you don't agree with me. That's okay. We need opinions. How is it? You go into a tournament with Laura, and you know that this time you're expected to win, right?
It's a completely different mindset, I would say. And I mean, I still think Laura is the best. In my opinion, I think she is the best player in the world. Can be argued for sure. But she's a super strong player, and I know she's grinding a lot, and she still has so much to improve that she wants to do that as well. Vienna was a very, I think, disappointing weekend for me. I felt like I kind of maybe let her down a little bit. I guess someone had to be the one to lose with her. But no, I mean, Tiramisu played super, super clean. Laura and I are more offensive players, I guess you could say, more serve ballers. And if you're not getting aces like you normally do, then you have to play better in other areas like defense. And Tiramisu serve received so well. Neither of us were getting aces, and yeah, they deserved it. And so that's just the way it goes.
And you win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
How was the talk with Laura after the loss?
It was good. We were both, I think, a bit down, but of course we were very happy and we had a good time playing all day together. So I don't think it deterred anything from that aspect of having a good time. We had a tough battle against Puss Dives in the semis. And I think that was a fun game as well. So I still enjoyed every bit of it playing with Laura. She's a really fun player, and she never gets mad at anything that I do, which is nice because I do a lot of things.
It is art. Sometimes.
Yeah,
it could be art. So shout out to Laura.
Yeah, so it's nice. She takes off a lot of it's a lot of pressure playing with her, but she takes off a lot of it by saying, like, you know, I don't care what place we get. I just want to have a good time and I want to play with you because I think we'd have fun. And yeah, it's probably one of the best things I think a player could say to their teammate is just to take off that stress.
Absolutely.
At least for me. Yeah.
It is about managing expectations. I'm not hearing this for the first time. Laura is doing a great job in that, because obviously when you're playing with someone that you know is better than you on paper, but also in real life, that really puts quite a lot of stress, because you want to perform, you want to do your best, and sometimes you overanalyze, and as they say, paralysis through analysis, and then you just don't play freely, you don't play your game. But when you know that your teammate has your back, it's like, okay, I don't really care. The expectations are set, so you can play your game and you actually elevate your game, and you try to bring it on the level of your partner, or sometimes, of course, level of your opponents if you're facing better opponents. In life, as in sport, I mean, you endure losses, and this year you've endured quite a few. I mean, close calls when it comes to first place or second place. But you're a professional athlete, or you used to be. Did any of your coaches, or did you have a mental coach, would be, or psychologist, would be my first question, and did they teach you how to get over a loss, how to learn from it, for example, or did you have to teach yourself?
I would say I had to teach myself. We didn't have a specific coach for that. My pole vaulting coach, or he's also like our sprints coach, he, I think, had a nice impact on my life. He almost was like a father to me, another father. In terms of like anything you needed, he was there. He had a lot of insight to just life in general, I would say. And yeah, I think my very first collegiate competition outdoors, I was signed up in the pole vault, and I was also in the hurdles. I did the 400-meter hurdles, and I didn't clear a height, and I fell in the hurdles. So I didn't finish in both of my competitions at all in my first collegiate track meet, and that was probably a big loss for me, and it was a little bit embarrassing because it was a big stadium and it was your first Division I collegiate track meet, and I had family there and friends, and to have something like that happen is sad, I guess, or very putting it puts you off a little bit. But I mean, I think the only thing you can do is go forward from there, and you can only get better, right? There's no expectations. You can't get worse. So I guess I had to learn all of this from previous experiences of losses, just to get over it, I guess, and maybe come back stronger.
Do you have a specific moment or specific lesson that your coach taught you or told you about that's is with you till today, that sometimes you remind yourself, not gonna be a mantra, but maybe some story that he said that's still in your head?
Yes, but it's more it's mainly like if I'm just like not focused, maybe I'm too squirrely or too nervous about something. I'm in competition and I'm maybe thinking about butterflies, or I'm over here saying hi to somebody. Or like I'm just not doing the right form what we practice. She'll just say, "Get your head out of your ass," and I think that helps, honestly. So it's not the nicest thing a coach could say, but we're very close on terms like that. So he's allowed to. I'm okay with him saying that, but it's almost like a mental check. Get your head out of your ass and just get over the bar. If it's just like if you're saying get over the bar, it's like, okay, I don't care. Don't think about the form too much. Don't overthink it. Just do it. And I think that's one of the best things you could say to me is just get over the bar, or like just do it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Not sponsored by Nike.
Not yet.
Yeah. So I think a lot of the times I'll overanalyze something, especially when I'm talking about defense in Roundnet. And sometimes it's doesn't help me to talk about defense, or saying, okay, after the serve, you need to go here. But if this happens, then you have to come here and then try this and this and this. If someone just says, okay, let's just rotate and get opposite of each other and then make a move after watching the set, it's like, I need simple terms, I guess. Maybe I'm just slow to understand things, but at the end of the day, I feel like it's just using your athletic instincts to try and to make a play.
Yes, I would definitely agree. I mean, there's this famous book from the 70s, The Inner Game of Tennis, when the author talks about like system one or system two. I may get this incorrectly, but the whole point is that you have to let your subconscious mind take over and not overthink it, especially if you've put in the reps, put in the work. And it is very interesting to hear that that is your trigger. Okay, just get your head out of the ass and just do it. Literally, I mean, the slogan is working for a reason because it is very simple. And a lot of people tend to, me myself, tend to overanalyze things. And I believe this is great if you could create a handbook for yourself that you can then literally hand over to your partner. Like, for example, okay, if I'm not hitting any serves and I did 2 or 3 double faults, you need to tell me this or do this or ask me about my dog or anything.
Yeah.
Like, break the pattern, for example. Take a time out and do something. We had a very good conversation with Yannick and Esaya on they won the tournament on Saturday in Prague. On the way back to our accommodation, and I suggested that sometimes during timeouts, it's good not to talk about the game, but just talk about something completely else. Just joke around, do something funny, simply break the pattern. Obviously, don't want to be asking about how's your job, if you know the jobs of the other person is very stressful or just got fired and doesn't know how to pay the bills, and Rona is the only escape. It's probably not the best. I mean, you're just learning. I really like, okay, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite animal? Really completely random things to break the pattern and then see how it goes. Because on the high level of Roundnet, we know what we can do. We know that we've practiced a lot, obviously. And maybe you would have some advice, because I know you did a little bit of coaching in Denmark. How would you teach this to people who didn't have the practice yet, who are not very sure about their skill sets and are in their head? Do you tell them something, or you're more of a, okay, let's just go train and then let's see how it goes?
This might not be answering the question entirely correct, but I know, like, I feel like it's a big important thing to be practicing what you're not good at in during your practice time. So you're supposed to practice, I think, 90% of what you're not good at. And when you're practicing things like that, maybe you are overanalyzing, you are talking about defense, you're thinking, you're working a lot when you're not competing, so that when you do compete, that just becomes like a secondary, like now you're making it, you're kind of like building your base of your muscle memory. So then that's when it'll kick in, hopefully, when you're in competition. And so I guess just having a basic plan is always nice, because sometimes if we don't have a plan for defense and I'm serving, I just serve and then I just sit there and I watch. And then at least if I'm thinking, okay, after you serve, maybe let's go like this, so that we're just opposite. Just if someone says, like, just take 2 steps to the right after you serve, then I think, okay, serve 2 steps to the right. Now I'm actually engaged and paying attention, rather than just being like, hey, that was kind of a good serve. Oh, they're getting the ball. Oh, I should play defense. And then the point's over. So I think just having a slight game plan is a little bit helpful to maybe getting your mind moving and working with your teammate, rather than just standing there and being like, oh, maybe I should do something.
Yeah, I mean, having game plans certainly helps if you want to achieve something on the higher level, because everyone knows how to serve, how to set, how to hit, and then there are small mistakes. I don't know if I would completely agree that 90% of the practice you should do something you're not good at. I think it's very sport specific or goal specific. However, I'm big fan of knowing what to then practicing. So, for example, if you told me now in this instance, in a practice, I would do something like, okay, now guys, we'll be serving, and after each serve, you just take 2 steps to the right. I don't care if you miss it or hit it. To really ingrain it in you, if that is a tactic that we want to go with, that you don't have to think about, okay, where should I go after the serve? It needs to become a second nature. After I hit a serve, I'm not, as you said, oh, wow, what a great serve. I say it all the time, especially on a contender level and lower levels. Oh, that was a banger. And then you're playing in someone with a great recovery set, and then you lose the point. It's like, oh, I know it happens with you sometimes.
Yeah.
Never happens to me because I don't hit good serves. But if I did, then I would probably be also guilty in that. But the point is, you want to practice that what you're going to, or what you can influence in the game when we talk in Roundnet, but also in life, right? I mean, this is a bigger metaphor because there are so many things out of our control. But I know that each time after I serve, I take 2 steps to the right. I can prepare for that. Right? Obviously, if it's not working, I need to change something. But then again, you get the reps in. So interesting. How does it work in Denmark or in Copenhagen? I mean, you have 2 big communities, if I'm not mistaken. And how is this? Because I know that you've also participated, or you're taking part in Roundnet Copenhagen straight away. You move to a new country and you're like going, okay, I want to be part of it, and you are putting in the work. So maybe walk us through it as well. If I say that Roundnet in Denmark.
Yeah, so we have two main. I mean, Roundnet Aarhus, which is in northwest Denmark. They've been really grinding. I think most of them are the ones that are on the team
National
for
team.
the national team. Yeah, exactly. And then there's Roundnet Copenhagen, and we do have some people on the national team as well. But I think it's maybe a little bit less competitive, I would say. Maybe more, we still have a lot of people that come, but it's more, we enjoy having fun, we enjoy playing games. And I'm sorry, what was your question?
I'm all future partners of Lu on and off the court. This is okay. This happens.
It's exam week right now. I'm sorry.
It's all great. No worries at all. No, how is it structured in Copenhagen or Aarhus? So you have two big hubs. Said Aarhus is a little bit more competitive, but in Copenhagen, do you have weekly sessions? Are they led by coaches, or is it more of a pickup type of situation?
Okay, yeah, I got it. We
Right.
have in Copenhagen, we've just moved to indoor, of course, and so we'll go to a small gym twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And usually Tuesdays is more evolved around doing drills, and it's led by a coach. And then Thursdays is mostly pickups. There's only, I think we can get 2 nets in the gym. It's a little tight, so I think only 10 people max can come, which can be kind of hard, especially when there's a big skill gap between a bunch of us. So I think we're working on trying to see if maybe Tuesdays are for group A and Thursdays are for group B, and then maybe having like adding Saturdays to those that want to come out. So we're kind of experimenting a little bit and seeing what works best and who all comes out for during the winter times, because we have a great turnout in the summertime. But in the winter it's a bit cold and you don't know who's going to come.
So do you have players that need to sign up for the training session, or are you signed up automatically?
We have an app called Hotspot, and then you can kind of check off if you're going to be coming.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to come to pickups, you just you click that you're coming, and so if the slots fill up, then you can't come.
Mm-hmm. I would be very curious how many clubs are doing it this way, and on the other hand, how many clubs are doing it that you're automatically like sign up for the training. Because I had this conversation many times in Munich Round and also recently Vienna Roundnet, that something for me it was very difficult to understand at the beginning, like a couple of years ago, because for me the way I grew up in coming from a sports family is you just go to practice. You don't think. You have a practice on Thursday at 6 o'clock, so you plan around it. You're not thinking on Wednesday do you go to practice. I mean, I guess for you it was the same while growing up or being in college, right?
Yeah, definitely. If you're committed to a sport, that's what you sign up. That's what you pay for. So you are expected to come. I don't know if maybe it's just because this is a growing sport. It's not necessarily taken as seriously as it could be yet. And maybe perhaps that's why. But I think it's more like, hey, do I want to come out tonight and play? Or yeah.
So the big question is, how can we make people to move around it from being a sport that, oh, I don't know if I'm going to go to training tomorrow, to, okay, I'm going to the practice and I'll plan around it. Because as I said earlier, I could never really understand, but I think this is the difference between a recreational player a player who is aspiring to do sports per se or competitive sports. And it hit me actually early this year in Mallorca that, tell me, how do you see it? I mean, we don't have a lot of data, and probably this would be a great master thesis or bachelor thesis. And if someone wants to do that, please contact me. I know a lot of people. We have all the contacts, all the emails. We'll send it out for you to see how many people have played some type of sports before Roundnet, as you mentioned earlier, or did not play any sports. Because sometimes I have a feeling for a lot of people, it's the very first sport they have taken up, and they may be in their mid-20s, right? Say they don't have the mindset, they don't have probably the aspirations as well of becoming an athlete. They're just, okay, I want to come here and have fun. But how could we do this switch? What do you think, from judging from your experience, what you've seen in Denmark, maybe also in the US, if you are thinking outside of the bubble a little bit?
Yeah, I think we need to give the option though, that it can be a recreational club, like just for fun. And I think we could also make it though for people that want to take it seriously, want to do drills, want to get better, want to go compete at a higher level. Because I know perhaps maybe just breaking it off into two different groups, like you have, and that's what we've talked about with Roundnet Copenhagen, is having a group that's we don't want to say good and bad, but more like competitive tryhards, I guess you can call us, and then the Hygge, like for fun.
Hobbies, we would say in German, someone who's doing it as a hobby, which is
Yeah.
amazing. And we need those people. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that
And it's
everyone's.
nice, yeah, it's nice to have them come out, because we don't want to deter them away if they're thinking, oh, I don't want to come because everyone's super competitive and I'm going to get a ball smashed in my face. Maybe we just want to show that there can be this skill gap, and there can be two different groups playing. So it would be nice though to have that, I guess, maybe separate them so that those that do show up on a regular basis are coming because they're dedicated and they want to get better and they want to go be able to compete maybe internationally or at least across their country.
Yes, because we don't want to deter them the same way you had been deterred after your first tournament, after losing 21-4 and then not touching the ball for an extended period of time. I mean, luckily you've returned to this, but this is exactly the point. You don't know how good you are, and you kind of want to find your place in the pecking order, right? And if everyone's put in the melting pot, then it is much more difficult, because you may think, okay, I beat these guys or whatever. But a lot of people don't want the competition. They are there, as you've explained earlier. You move to a new city, to a new country. That's the great way to meet friends. And that is absolutely amazing, right? But they may not aspire to be the star athlete, the star player of the city, right? And if they do, then the club is there to help them, guide them there. But if not, that's fine. And this is very, very difficult, because we don't want to be losing people just by kicking their asses. And also, as a great player, you really don't enjoy like beating beginners, because you're not really having fun. You feel bad, right? Because you want to make sure people are having a good time so they come again. But it is very difficult, right? But I'm very happy that you are thinking in Copenhagen. I see that also in Switzerland. I talked to Ronja, that it is separating, because the narrative, what I heard was, yeah, we should not separate the community. But I claimed, on the other hand, if you keep these people together, like the different levels, you are creating much more friction that you actually want to avoid by having them there, because they don't know where to go, so they're confused. I mean, there's a lot of confusion in today's world anyway, especially for young people. So why give them a little bit more confusion? I mean, I'm just glad that in Copenhagen it's the same way
Yeah.
that you're
Yeah,
recognizing.
I think it's a good idea to split it, just because, I mean, you see that in volleyball as well. You have different times for different skill levels, and and maybe different, like you have a club community where they might go out and play volleyball just for fun, or you have one where they have legit practices. And but then you can still come together for social events, and that's where you can still have a community where we all share the same interests of the sport. And that's what we just had with volleyball, was everyone came together and we did like a little Christmas party event where we combined teams from different divisions and we played different games together. So maybe that could be something that you do for Roundnet, like even though you have different practices and different coaches, and hopefully we get enough people to where we can consistently do that, and then come together for social events, maybe like Women's Spike or Friday Night Spike. Or I know when we were in Czech last week, we attended one of the pickups, and it was super fun because every time they finish pickups, they all go together to a bar for, oh gosh, what was it called?
It was a Mexican bar. You go for some food.
It was food. We had some beer too, but the idea was you go hang out and you have beers and food together. That doesn't have to be talking about Spikeball, but you're getting to know each other just because you are all in the same community. Doesn't mean you play together on the same net, maybe at pickups, but you might be like, oh, hey, like everyone's hanging out after. And I think that's such a cool thing to do, rather than just go play your sport and then go home.
Yes, I mean, that is a big issue, that we need to make sure that people are getting all their, or as many needs covered as they can. And social is a big need that we have, to connect with other people and like establish relationships, if it's intimate or not. But really just be human, like don't look at the screen, and you don't even have to drink alcohol. Just go have a glass of water and chat. And that's why I think it's also great. Round is also great for dating, like for, in a way, and I may get some get some backfired here, but let me explain what I mean by that. Obviously, you can meet your significant other with that, because you meet new people. But it's really low stakes environment, with being it's such a great gender equal sport, you could say, because if you have female players who have great techniques, they can beat most of the men, right? Because it's not all about raw power. And then you get to make new friends. And I know that there are a lot of people, a lot of men, that are afraid of talking to women, or it's been some time since they talked to a girl. And in this low stake environment, they can simply ask, how are you? And slowly improve their skills in this department. Let's put it that way. I see you laughing, but it's very true, because not everyone's extroverted, right? You may have a job that does not require to meet a lot of people or your studies. You just go to the lecture and then go home. You don't have to talk to anyone, right? But when you're there with people, at some point, maybe the second or third time, you will be asked by someone who's extrovert like myself, like, okay, what's up? What do you do? No, I know she does that as well. Maybe you guys should have a chat. Or like, oh, that's so interesting, and then just create this connection. Something I really enjoyed doing, like bringing people together. I mean, also at our events and stuff. So it's cool that you did it in Czech Republic, and you can actually literally do it everywhere you go, right? Because the community is so welcoming.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I love so much about this community, is that like I feel like when I, in Majorca especially, but even any tournament you go to, even like when you're playing against somebody, perhaps in between or before or after a game, they might be like, wow, like, so where are you from? I always love asking people, where are you from? It's in the European community, everybody's from literally everywhere, and it's so cool. And like, yeah, I've been there once, or I have no idea where that is. And then it's just a good conversation starter of like, okay, like, so where did you come from? What did you do? Or what are you doing? And then a lot of the times it's, you see them at the next tournament, and maybe you have like a funny inside joke with somebody. Like, I think there was a girl that I met, and I think I tripped on the first time, and I might have snorted or something. So now every time we see each other, we just snort at each other. We're always snorting. And it's like a funny inside joke, and that's how we say hi to each other. And of course, whenever you're doing it and other people are around, they're looking at you like, what the heck is going on? But it's funny, and it lightens the mood, and I think everybody starts to have a good time, and yeah, it's fun.
I completely agree. It is what it is, but not in this context.
Yeah, I'm definitely derailing off of everything. So,
How to improve your dating game while
well, you
being
can bring me
grounded.
back. Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay. I've probably you're a better fisherwoman than myself, like living in Florida than me, like reeling back in. One of the last things I want to ask you, because I want to be respectful of your time, obviously, is you've been to many tournaments all across Europe. You also played tournaments now in the US. And this question comes now more often than not: is how do you afford it?
I guess you could treat it. I guess you could say I treated 2023 as like my sabbatical year, because when COVID hit, I was working a lot. So I've kind of been working since I finished school and saving up a lot of money. So this year, I was pretty much just running off of savings. I'm also very fortunate to have supportive parents. So maybe they would help pay for a flight or two. And then, as well as just housing was free almost the entire year. Everywhere I went, there was somebody that was housing me. I hope I can do the same when there's a tournament in Copenhagen. Everyone come, I'll host everybody. But everybody was so nice to be having me. Like, even my first tournament in Berlin, Johannes Kopfman, he had me, and I realized as he was picking me up from the station, I'd never met him before. I said, "Actually, what do you look like? Like, I don't even know who you are. I've never met you, and you're bringing me in, you're feeding me, you're housing me, and I don't even know who you are." And that's happened to me so many times this year, and it just shows how great the community is and trusting. Because, I mean, we talked about it when I came to see you in Prague. Was I don't really know you. You could be like a serial killer or something. I don't know, but I'm derailing again. Sorry.
No, it's all good.
The idea that I mean, the point is that the European Roundnet community is so welcoming and friendly that they make it affordable to go around and compete. And that's how I guess I afforded most of it, was housing being free and just saving up a bunch of money from working the past years.
Because you have to eat anyway. Obviously, you don't cook that much. On tournaments, you go and most people eat junk food. I try not to, but that's like the tournament pizza. I almost never eat pizza now during the week, especially in 2022. I think I had 3 weekends in 8 months that I spent in Munich back home. That was without Roundnet, which obviously takes its toll. But I had a full-time job as a teacher, so plenty of free time. I know some teachers may get mad at me, but yeah, you can manage. But that was my hobby. There's everything I was spending money on was basically Roundnet. But I know if I was a student, okay, I also make good money while I was a student because I work 16 hours a day and I would never stop. But it is much more challenging, and I believe there's always a way. Of course, if you're studying something like medicine and it's really very difficult, that you cannot have it all, unfortunately. And if you want to be the best, you need to go and travel to the best tournaments and play against the best competition. But it depends again where you live, right? I mean, in Denmark, if you do any kind of job, what do you get per hour? Do you know roughly?
What do you mean?
How much money do you get per hour?
Do you play that game? No, never mind. Sorry. Okay. I actually don't know how much you would make in an hour. But I know definitely that the taxes are high here and that you make a lot of money. You make more money because you have to spend a lot more money here. So I guess when you do travel, it makes it cheaper being outside of Denmark.
Yes, because I remember when we were in Sweden, it's like, whew, these are almost Czech prices, but oh wait, the Swedish krona is twice as much worth as the Czech one, so probably not So it
Yeah,
really depends how much money you make. If I'm in Slovakia and I make €5 an hour, and I go to Munich and it's 15 for the same job, then it does make a difference when you're traveling, obviously.
definitely. I'd probably save more money staying in Prague for the week than I would have if I were to have stayed here in Copenhagen.
Which is, of course, crazy if you think about it, but it's the way it is. For next year, so 24, are you still planning to go to a lot of tournaments? And probably your savings may be running out a little bit. So this is not the most sustainable model. Have you thought about financing or maybe getting some sponsorships and how to approach it?
Yeah, I did work a little bit this fall, coaching Roundnet at a university. Um, I would like to go to as many tournaments as I can, but I don't see myself going to as many as I did this past year. I hope to make it to all the ETSs. And then, of course, I would like to try and get some sponsors. Would be nice. But I haven't really thought too much far into that.
Okay,
But that's the
that's my
plan.
job.
Yeah.
That's my job now. Then to get the
Around that
money
sponsor me.
to the players. So sponsor you, Cara, and all the people that really want to push the sport forward in the sense of becoming athletes, being professional about it, and showing that this could be indeed a sport. But we need to get some money and we need to also offer value. And this is what I see the most often. Oh, I want to get sponsored. It's so difficult. But you're not actually offering almost any value to the sponsor except of, oh, it's cool or the people are nice. So I think this is something that needs to be reframed or thought of differently. Because I know when I started thinking about it, I got sponsored. I was like, no worries. Um, because I just asked myself a couple of questions. Of course, it comes from background. And I was not by far one of the best players in Europe. But me and Benny Barker, we got sponsored by a round manufacturer because I simply reached out to them. I had my pitch, I had a vision, and they liked it, and it worked out nicely, right? So you really need to dig a little bit deeper other than do a Facebook story and say, oh, who wants to sponsor us? And these are the tires, and we'll put your name on the jersey. Okay, but so what? What is your reach? What is your conversion? What is your target group? How can we make the brand more aware, right? So there are so many more variables that people, especially sponsors, want to know. I mean, they may give you their products easier because that's free promotion, right? In a way. But to get money is a completely different ball game. And there are a lot of people who like the data. It means, okay, if you go viral on TikTok, okay, that may be nice, but are those people actually buying from you? Well, we don't know. So there is this whole process that still needs to get like optimized, so to say. And we need to just get bigger by knowing, like having more people to play and actually sticking to the sport, right? I mean, those are some of my thoughts when it comes to sponsorship, because I see complaining all the time. I was like, that's not true. And you're not trying. I'm not saying you're not trying hard enough. Just like you're not trying smart enough. I mean, if I could get sponsored and I was not the best player, what's your excuse? You know?
Yeah, yeah,
So
definitely. I think it's hard to find. You have to be able to give them what they want, like what's in it for them.
exactly, I think this is probably the most important takeaway from today's podcast. What's in it for them, for the sponsors? Why should they give you money? And if you have good answers, then reach out to the sponsors and let us know if this helped you, or you want to know how to write a sales pitch. Then I'm more than happy to help you. But really, what's in it for them? Because everyone's just looking like me all the time, right? So it is very difficult. All right, let's take a look at my notes because I think we've covered a lot of ground. Maybe one of the last things. Oh yeah, I love this. Who do you have a role model?
Ugh.
Or when you were little or an athlete, did you have role models? It's my favorite question.
That's a tough question. I mean, of course, everyone always has a role model growing up.
I disagree.
You disagree? You don't think you have a role model growing up?
No, I had, but the more I talk about this and the more I talk to people, and I worked as a teacher, the less people have role models. And it's a big thing that almost like I have no data on this and I would love to get some. Maybe once podcast production gets, or I make it worth more money, let's put it that way, because I'm solely responsible. That means how, I don't have the data of how many people actually do have role models and don't. And I feel that in the past it was much more common to have role models, but nowadays not so much. And there's science behind it, or there's some ideas that of course I'd like to share if you're interested. But let's get back to your role models first.
Not Roundnet related or Roundnet related?
Both.
Okay. I mean, I guess growing up, I always looked up to my brother. It sounds kind of cliche, but he's my best friend. And he's always not complaining, I should say, no matter how much or how bad something's going on. And he never says it or never says anything, so you don't realize it until you actually think about it. So I think he kind of leads by example in a quiet way. So that's something I always look up to and aspire to be like.
And that's really cool.
Yeah. So, and then of course, in terms of Roundnet, there's players that I look up to, like Lara, who I just watched her Instagram story this morning. She's grinding. She's working hard, and you can tell she's super hungry and super motivated. And that's something that's really admirable, because people always argue or say that she is the best player in the world, and yet she's always asking people for tips on defense, or she's trying to get better, and she's not comfortable sitting at the top. And one could argue that she's not at the top because she lost to the Twins in the championships. So I can see how she is hungry and driven. But at the same time, the fact that she is one of the best players in the world and still hungry and eager to learn and get better is something that I think is super cool and super admirable.
I'd just like to elaborate best female players or women's players in the world.
Yeah, sorry. Yes. Female.
And now I just put a little bit more oil into her fire. Hopefully. Because once you dominate the women's game, and in Roundnet you still have a pretty good chance of being very good also in the men's part. So I'm very curious how that goes, and I wish her obviously all the luck, or all the ladies who want to take this big undertaking, because according to my information, that's something, I may be wrong, that she's aspiring to, and I think that is absolutely amazing, right? So yeah, even though if you're on the top in one discipline, let's go and continue and get to the top of the other and climb the other mountain. Okay, so you do have role models, and it is crazy though. You know why people don't have role models anymore that much?
Why is that?
What do you think? I mean,
You're asking me why I don't think people have role
just
models.
a thought exercise that is definitely not prepared.
Oh, you're such a teacher.
If I had to ask you for, with all the knowledge that you have, your like unique knowledge, because everyone has their own unique story, what would you make up of this when I say, yeah, people don't have role models anymore? Why is that?
I think I would disagree. I think everybody has a role model, whether they know it or not.
Okay.
Maybe you don't call it a role model. Maybe it's just somebody that you could say that you're envious of them, or maybe you're jealous of their life, or it's more somebody that you admire, I guess, can be a role model, or someone that you aspire to be, someone that you like, and maybe they just don't know it, but they do look up to this person.
Mm-hmm.
It could be your best friend. You could be just like, I like this person because they're working really hard. And like one of my friends, she's also half Danish, half American. She moved here to take care of her grandfather and to learn Danish. And she's finished. She did 2 years of school, learned Danish, and now she's continued her schooling in Danish while competing at a high level of volleyball here in Denmark. And that's super cool. And that's something that I could say she's my role model. Like, she's someone I look up to, or somebody that just does something. They're working hard and they're doing something above what others are usually doing. And it's just, when you see someone standing out apart from the crowd, I think then maybe you don't think that they're a role model. You just call them a friend, or you just call them a hard worker, but maybe it's deep down like it's actually a role model without you knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Could be a competitor. Tiramisu, I hate them. I lose to them all the time, but you know what? They're also my role models, because now I'm getting fuel and motivation because I wanna beat them.
Yeah, so people can inspire you or inspire in a lot of different ways. And there's the healthy and probably arguably not so healthy, when you're just envious and you complain and you try to bring people down because it makes you look bad. Or as you just mentioned, it's the other way around, when, okay, I want to be like that. I want to beat them. So not role models per se, because I don't want to be like them. I just want to beat them. But I need to be working harder, working smarter. Okay, but that's a very, very interesting thought. And that's why I love doing this and ask these questions, because I'm also learning so much. What I've
Just for the record, I don't hate tiramisu. They're very, very nice. I love them, but they bug me because I want to win.
I'm so clipping this and just say Lou Washburn hates tiramisu.
That's gonna be like
The end of
the headline. Lou hates tiramisu.
Oh, that would be so funny.
You're gonna change the truth. No.
I mean, it is what happens, what is happening nowadays on a daily basis. Unfortunately, the clickbaits and everything, which is a big topic, obviously the attention economy and everything. But when we return a real back in onto the role models, what I hear a lot is also from my students, I don't want to be like them. I want to be myself. And
Okay.
this is also the narrative that's being pushed when you see NBA players saying, oh, okay, you may be the next LeBron or the next Kobe, but they're, no, I want to be me, which is great. Like Allen Iverson, one of my role models, because he was a short guy and I was always short. And he would get into NBA finals or be in the All-Star games. I'm getting goosebumps because I love Allen Iverson. What a great player. But he would learn the moves from Michael Jordan. He would study the game. So he would have role models. He wouldn't say, okay, I want to be like Michael. I mean, everyone wanted to be like Michael Jordan. But I want to get the best out of him and the get best from the other person to combine and create my unique self. But saying, okay, I'm just going to ignore everyone because I want to be me. And I don't want to be doing this move because Michael is doing the move. It's just, in my view, plain, I should not say plain stupid, but yeah, I think it's the smartest move, because we copy people if we want or not. That's human nature, and there's science behind it. And if you can choose who you copy, you probably want to copy someone like your brother or your friend from Denmark who are doing great things that are helping society, and also that you want to copy people that have a good life. That's why it's always interesting when I read biographies or autobiographies of people who literally changed the world. They were usually heavily traumatized and did not have a nice childhood and are not really happy, and they had to overcompensate a lot. So could be role model in one way, but not, let's say I would not want Steve Jobs to be my role model for personal relationships, right? Probably
Okay.
probably not the best one. In terms of vision and work ethic and creativity, absolutely. So you can cherry pick these kind of things. And also in Roundnet, you can literally analyze, okay, I want to have serve like this person, but my style is more like this. I'm not a serve bowler, for example. I enjoy more the athletic play. So you can literally take the blocks and build and create something unique, which is yourself. And therefore I found the role models discussion very, very important, especially with young children. because we always want to be like Michael, Zinedine Zidane, Joe Sakic, like the NHL ice hockey players. But nowadays the kids want to be like, they want to be influencers or YouTubers, which is also not bad. It's a proper job right now, and they're making great money, but very few of them. And once people start creating content, as we both know, it's actually a lot of hard work, and it takes a lot of time, if ever, for it to monetize or at least get some kind of recognition, right? So maybe the last question is, how have you been on the social media side? I know obviously that you are doing a lot for us, for Futurana, but also you have your account Lou Washi. But how is that the social media side of things for you, for people who think, oh, create more content, it's so easy, it doesn't look so difficult? But can you walk us through a process of that?
Yeah, it's, I mean, with my Roundnet, I guess it's my Roundnet account. It's more like a meme, funny account. I think it just started out with me wanting to make funny videos, and I didn't really want to post it on my personal account. So I just started posting them, and it was more like a, hey, I'll just drop this Spikeball video here because I don't want to bombard people with so much Roundnet content or silly stuff on my personal one. And people started following it, and now it's kind of taken off a little bit, where I'm making these memes, and I just find it funny because I'm like, yeah, I can definitely relate, especially like the Jack Sparrow one of playing defense. And sometimes it can be a little bit exhausting. I think my phone storage is completely full, so I can't make any more videos just because of that. But it can be a little bit much where I feel like, okay, maybe I need to get off social media for a little bit. I'm one that likes to hang out in nature a lot, and sometimes I'm looking down at my phone, I'm like, holy crap, I've been on this for 30 minutes just scrolling through social media or trying to make this video. So I think it's all in proportion. It's fun. But sometimes if you do it too often and too much, it doesn't become fun anymore. And I think there's that happy medium where if this isn't my job, then why would I be spending too much time on it if it's not that fun? And I might be, veering off again on the question with social media, but I think there's just that happy medium of, in terms of, oh, this is a fun video, maybe I can make it like this, but if it's also too much, then maybe it's just not worth my time to make.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also really fun though, because some people have been sending me videos saying, hey, I think this would be really funny if you made this into a meme. And it's kind of fun because I'm like, yeah, okay, that's a good idea. Maybe I should try that.
How could you, now our mental exercise, monetize on that? Let's say on your meme account. How do you think it could be monetized? I mean, not everything has to be for money, and there's a very fine line between doing something for money and for pleasure. Ideally, it's both, right? But
Right.
for people who have Roundnet accounts that are followed, have decent amount of following, how could it be monetized? What do you think? Have you thought about it, or is not really any of your goals?
Gosh, I haven't thought about it at all. No, I haven't thought about how to monetize that at all. I just think it's fun. I don't know, maybe potentially using the skills to work for companies to like make funny memes for promotions. Like when you're doing marketing, you're trying to promote something. A lot of people can remember something based off of it, if it's humorous, if it's funny. And so maybe I can just use the skills to work for a company or to promote events and things like that using memes or GIFs.
This is a big thing that I would like to highlight, is that you don't have to make money with everything you do, especially at the beginning, but you are learning. So exactly as you just said with the social media is a big factor nowadays. So if you learn and practice this in a low stake environment similar to the dating game, then you can market yourself better because you actually know what you're talking about, and you know that it's very difficult to keep doing Instagram campaign of posting every day or twice a day and doing all the stories and spending a lot of time on your phone. Therefore, I'm not laughing at students anymore, or I was never laughing directly in their face. Okay,
That's so neat. Yeah. Okay.
that may not be completely true, but I would hide it. Uh, when I say, "Oh, I want to be an influencer," okay, go, good luck, and let's do a project, because you'll realize that it is hard work, and we have quite a few in the Roundnet community. And for example, Scott Biggs is doing incredible work when it comes to creating content, not only coaching, but sharing his thoughts and really taking people on his Roundnet journey. And people want to have more. He found a good way to monetize that, which grace to him. But it's so much work. And I think you told me a story, I may be mistaken, about like playing pickup with Scott, that on the way back he was on his phone like editing the video straight away after the pickup or a tournament. Is that right, or am I getting this wrong?
Yeah, no, that's correct. When we got Premier together in the Florida State Championships last year, on the ride back from Orlando, it was 2 hours long. He was able to edit everything so quick. I think just from doing it, like he's just so good at it from doing it so many times. He edited everything in those 2 hours on his phone. So he definitely utilizes time, and I think because he needs to. Otherwise, he wouldn't have time for anything else. But when he's in the car ride, he'll edit things really quickly on his phone.
Yeah, so that's actually a big sacrifice, because I was thinking about it, especially after you told me the story. Like, yes, I know I could do the same thing, but for me personally, I'd rather spend the time with people. That's what I choose, and like talk about the tournament and improve the relationship than do the hard work straight away. But there is no right and wrong, right? But this just highlights the point that you have to sacrifice some things in terms of others. And in this case, he's sacrificing the potential relationship time, for creating content and pushing the sport forward, which is a very unselfish thing to do, because it reaches more than 2 people in the car. It reaches literally, I think, thousands of people, which is great. And we need more people like that, in my view. But like I said, impressive as a lot of hard work. So no, I don't take things for granted anymore when it comes to social media, because creating captions and all the reels, and then you forget about something, and then you need to add that you did not tag this person. It's a lot of work, but probably some tiny steps on making the sport more legitimate and bringing more people to our events, and to teach them that it's called Roundnet or Spikeball, because they know that they know the sport, but they just don't know the name. And it happened to me
Yeah.
so many times. And I want to just say thank you for creating content. I love it. I think it's so funny what you are doing, what Per is doing. I think it's Berlin 30 account. Well, it's still a lot of inside jokes, but at some point it's going to be hopefully more global, that people will understand the videos are simply hilarious, or the memes. I think about one meme that you did recently on Sunday morning, like, oh, waking up like the day of tournament, everyone's super happy and stoked, and then after tournament, like, oh, I feel like 100 years old.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people can relate with that.
Definitely. I think everyone can relate, especially if you're hanging out or doing something Saturday night and having to wake up Sunday and compete again if you play mixed. Or even not even playing mixed, just waking up after tournament days can be rough. And that's how
That's
you
why,
know you've worked hard. You tried on Saturday.
that's why I want to give a big shout out to all the gladiators who participated in Mallorca this year and also next year, who played on Saturday, super high level tournament, on Sunday mixed. On Sunday we had the after party as well. Then they went to bed, I don't know, 4 or 5 a.m. and survived. I mean, that's just heads off. That's some real stamina. Okay, on Monday we did not play that much. I mean, a lot of people could not move, but still, I mean, that's performance on and off the field, and this is what you want to have. I mean, that's something other people can aspire to be the king of the after party, and that's your
Yeah,
goal. That's perfect. I
that's
mean,
your goal. That's what you want to be.
king or queen of the after party.
If you're
Beautiful.
not good at Roundnet, make the after party your thing. You
Yeah,
can't.
at least find, maybe train on your strengths.
Yeah. I think everyone just feeds off of each other. It's so nice. Like we all come from different areas, so it's so much fun when we get to see each other. And like energy and just time together. And so you definitely are pushing a lot of boundaries within yourself to keep going and keep hanging out and keep partying. And then I think everybody usually either gets sick when they get home or they sleep forever.
It took me 2 days to recover from Prague, and I did not even play that hard. I mean, I tried, but I did
I'm
not
still
play.
recovering. I think I got sick. Everyone got sick that was staying at the hostel in Prague.
And this is again such a great experience. We were, shout out to Nelson who organized this with you, that we got almost entire hostel just for ourselves, 18 people there. I mean, that may sound scary, but it was a lot of fun because you never know what's going to happen. And sometimes, I mean, I knew my life used to be very predictable once I get a full-time job and if you're practice, and something I was really missing. But then you go and you have things like this happening to you because you put yourself in that environment, and it may be uncomfortable at first, but it was so much fun. You know, meet new people, make new jokes, and doing like really creating human connections that you are not on your phone all the time. And I think that's for me one of the biggest things why I keep hanging out in the area, like in the area of Roundnet, because it's just so much cool. I love speaking English, I love speaking German, I love speaking Spanish. You can practice all the languages there. You don't need Duolingo. Just find your Roundnet buddy. Like
So true.
right?
Don't need Duolingo, just come to Majorca.
Yeah, we have 15 countries there now, pun intended, like self-promotion, but it's okay. My last question on you is, how's your Danish? Because I knew that you were not very secure about it at first, but are you now, I mean, you understand everything, right? I mean, you and your mom spoke Danish, but walk us through that.
Yeah, growing up, my mom never really spoke that much Danish to me, maybe a little bit, some phrases. I mean, I don't blame her. It's hard when you're living in the US and no one else speaks your language. It's hard to raise your kids to speak the language. But I think I would say I understand almost everything when someone's talking to me. And playing Roundnet with the Danes or hanging out with them is really nice and helpful because that's where I learn it a lot, is they stick to Danish if I ask them to. So I can get around. I don't think I could have done this entire podcast in Danish. It's very hard for me to express how I feel in Danish words.
Or in English words.
Or in English words. Jesus, my English is getting way worse the more Danish I speak, and the more like German I hear from you guys as well. My brain is just becoming mush. But no, I think I'm almost there, and it's really nice. The problem is everyone speaks English so well here, so they like to speak English, and I like to speak Danish. So maybe we just keep flip flopping and speak opposite languages to each other. But
it is difficult phenomena sometimes. I know, especially if you're an English native speaker, because everyone wants to practice their English, right, with you, but you want to practice Danish. I had a similar thing in Germany, or in Bavaria, I should say, where my English was pretty okay or decent, definitely better than my German, and Germans then would go to English with me. I was like, no, please stay with German because I need to learn this. And I had a feeling, or I still know, that I had kind of different identities or personalities, different language I speak. Is it for you as well? Do you differentiate slowly? Do you have like the Danish or maybe European Lu and the American one? Have you noticed any differences there?
Oh, I think so. I have had people tell me that when I'm speaking Danish, I seem to have a little bit of a different character. And I can't really tell you how so, but they say I definitely sound different when I'm speaking. And I've also heard that with German as well. I don't speak German that well, but people say I sound different. Perhaps I'm maybe in Danish because I'm trying to pronounce everything correctly. I might sound a little bit more angry or yeah. And of course you're using different vocabulary words, so maybe you're coming off different as a different persona.
Mm-hmm. No, very, 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 I want to say fascinating in a way, because especially in Europe, that is what is happening a lot when people are bilingual, trilingual. And if you had to learn all the languages by yourself or in school, or compared to if you grew up in Luxembourg and you grew up speaking Luxembourgish, German, and French as your mother tongue, then you get those languages for free, so to say. Or the environment sometimes. Some things I've always been jealous in a good way, like, okay, I have to work hard for every single language. And you guys, oh, your mom's American, your dad is, I know, Spanish, too easy, yeah? 2 languages, live in France, okay. But, and people are different. You know, the Spaniards, like the culture is different. So you obviously assimilate towards, okay, I'm more easygoing, I was, you know, more smiling, speaking very fast when it comes to Spanish and stuff like that. But good luck on your Danish skills, because I know that we'll be speaking German soon. Once your Danish is really good, then
Yes.
practice more of the German, which you are kind of a phenomena of Americans speaking a different language, pun definitely intended, but with Danish. But I've met Americans, they speak great German. Fred Hinkle, great German and stuff. Maybe we
Yeah,
can
his German's really good.
Fred
We played
here.
we played 2022 mixed nationals together, and we would speak in German to try and like not let the other team hear what we were talking about, just to throw them off. So we'd communicate in German to be funny.
Oh, German and funny in one sentence. Wow. A Google word I would have like underlined, revised, considering. No, I love German. It is a language, let's put it that way. It's a very, very straight up rules, and every foreign language you learn, you train your brain. It's great mental reps for the brain. And I would love to go now with the mental game that you said, trying to throw opponents off, but maybe we'll keep that for another time, so people have something to look forward to. Lou, where can people find you and your project?
Yeah, my personal account is, oh man, I think I'm Lou Washburn on Instagram. If I know you, I've met you, I always follow back. I like making friends. And my Roundnet account, or just silly videos account, is Lou Washi 1. Not Lou Washi, because that one just got hacked recently. So Lou Washi 1, the one with the dirt bike icon symbol.
Okay. And Roundnet Copenhagen, obviously.
Yeah,
Roundnet
Roundnet Copenhagen. If you want to write Roundnet Copenhagen, if you're in the area coming to Copenhagen, write me or write Roundnet Copenhagen, and I will write you back and see if you can come to pick up.
Lou, thank you so much for your time. This has been a blast. Guys, go follow Lou Washi for amazing Roundnet content and learn how to make memes that you can also then use in your work life later on and make a lot of money. All right.
Thanks so much for having me.
Pleasure all mine, and Atake out. Talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
Future Roundnet.